I mean, everything that happened in this game, except for the Yankees winning in extra innings, is a microcosm of what's gone on with them the entire season.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host today, Ryan McMahon. Stacy is on the IL, but you'll get plenty of her contributions tomorrow on FanDuel Friday as we discuss everything that's happened with the Yankees. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use my promo code LOCKEDONMLB to receive 20% off your order. Only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion-flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. Also, we have a new TikTok page. If you're there, follow us. You can get all of us at LockedOn_Yankees. On today's show, a walk-off win from Ryan McMahon. We're going to preview Game 4 of the series against the Rays, which is massive. They're going to need to win that game after they get a walk-off in Game 3 of the series. We're going to talk about what's going on around the Major League Baseball trade deadline is before we get to the final day of the trade deadline, plus all the moves the Yankees could make, could potentially make, or could not make that could save them, and why the Yankees should not be sellers going forward. But first, this game, I got to be honest with you guys. This New York Yankees team might be the most toxic relationship you could ever find yourself in. They are so frustrating to watch. And this game was a microcosm of their entire season. You had a Volpe error. What else is new? You had a base running mistake. What else is new? You had a home run. What else is new? Multiple home runs. You had a blown save late in the game. What else is new? I mean, everything that happened in this game, except for the Yankees winning in extra innings, is a microcosm of what's gone on with them the entire season. Let's start it off early. Let's go to the start of the day. Yesterday, the Orioles and Blue Jays play a doubleheader. The Blue Jays lose both, shockingly. They lose Game 1 of the series as well. Then they play the final game of their series on Wednesday afternoon, and the Blue Jays come back to win that game late. Very late, comeback win 9-8 in dramatic fashion. So if you're the Yankees, you thought you had a chance to maybe extend a game with the Blue Jays losing, and now it winds up being this Rays game is a must-win because the Blue Jays got to win. Then you look at what the Red Sox do when they're playing the Twins. The Red Sox get a massive win. They score 13 runs. So now it becomes a must-win for the Yankees just to stay where they are in the standings as the day started. And this game got up to a really slow start, if I may say. Will Warren was good. Actually really good. Gave up the 1 run, but 6 innings, 6 hits. The one run, as I said, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Didn't quite have the strikeout stuff that he normally has, that blow it by you, swing and miss kind of stuff. But hey, got the job done. He's got a 2.88 ERA and starts against Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And I'll say this about Will Warren throughout the year. If you take out those 2 awful starts that he has, where I believe it's over 7 earned, or I think both might be 7 earned. You take out those 2 starts, he's had a really, really solid year. And this might have been his last audition to stay in the Yankees rotation if they go out there and get a starter. So I like what I've seen out of Will Warren. I do for the most part, other than those 2 bad starts. And then we get to the offense. This game, again, back and forth, it stayed 1-0 throughout the entire game. And then the Yankees kind of just figured it out, right? Grisham pulls that ball down the line, one of the coolest camera angles, if you saw that replay you've ever seen. Pulls that ball down the line, ties the game at 1, and then Giancarlo Stanton just has an unreal at-bat where the extra days in the weight room really showed off there because he muscles an inside ball off, gets it into center field. Yankees have a lead, and you're like, all right, Devin Williams coming in here. He's been really solid, really most of the year, other than the first month when he struggled. He's been really, really good. Believe it or not, this was his second blown save all year, other than late April when he had a blown save. So he's been all good all year, and then all of a sudden, the Yankees have a lead, and Devin Williams can't hold on to it. Gives up the home run to Loud, the 2-run shot, 3-2 lead for the Rays, and you just sat there and thought to yourself, this is a horrendous loss. This is the worst loss they're going to have all year. It was a backbreaking loss. It was really going to hurt. It was one of the worst spots you can imagine yourself in. This is the inning prior, in the 9th inning, where Volpe has the error. Now, in the 8th inning, they get out of it, by the way. Volpe has the error. De Los Santos gets the strikeout, so it doesn't matter, but it's another error for Volpe where he rushes the throw, puts it in the dirt, leads Major League Baseball in all errors now at 16. And you sit there and think, oh, geez, this is going to be the worst loss of the year. This is a horrible spot to get a loss when the Red Sox and the Blue Jays already won. And then Anthony Volpe with dramatics. Ties the game, saves Devin Williams' bacon, kind of saves his own bacon too. And an unbelievable home run, gets low into the ball, holds it fair. You saw the emotion too around the bases just bleed out of Anthony Volpe. He needed that so badly. Got it. Gets the game to get tied. We head to extra innings. And then it just gets wankier and wankier, right? It got so crazy for the Yankees. Rays take that crazy lead. And then you get into the 11th inning and you're thinking, the Yankees, first of all, tie it. You get the Bellinger triple in the 10th, and you think, all right, guy on third base, they've got to figure it out here. They don't. He doesn't score. Awful stuff. And then they get the intentional walk, runners on first and second in the 11th inning, and the balk, Jazz Chisholm dancing around on second base, the balk is what actually advances the runners. And then obviously Ryan McMahon pops out to center field, but it's too deep for the runners that are playing in because they're playing to try and save the runner from going from third. Yankees score, Yankees win, an unbelievable walk-off victory for Ryan McMahon. Gets his first Gatorade bath, I'm assuming probably of the year, because I doubt the Rockies have a walk-off this year. Or they did actually 2 days ago. But other than that, it was an unbelievable victory. And, we've had these kind of moments all year. Could this be a turnaround victory for the Yankees? Could this be a DVD moment that you see in the DVD? Who knows? Who knows what winds up happening? But this is a season-defining win, potentially. This is an unbelievable comeback win. We talked about it. After losing game 1 of the series against the Rays, me and Stacey both sat here and told you guys, this is a must-win series. You can't afford to lose a series against a team that you need to beat, and a team that is going to wave the white flag. That you saw them already trade their starting catcher earlier in the week. This team was done. You know they're done. You know that they're going to sell off. And this series becomes a must-win, especially with your next series against Miami, who's playing a lot better. You play Houston after that, and before that, you play Texas, who has unbelievable starting pitching. They don't have an easy path ahead of themselves. And speaking of which, Tampa Bay defined their seller attitude more and more as when this game ended, they actually traded their starting pitcher in the game. Zach Little gets traded after having a good start against the Yankees. The Cincinnati Reds, who are buyers and going all in this offseason, this trade deadline, traded for Zach Little, who had an unbelievable start, and the Rays are just emptying out their system. So this is a series that you really, really need to have. You officially have a tie series. Worst case, they play tomorrow afternoon, or I guess later on this afternoon on Thursday, where they have a chance to win the series, and the Yankees got to get a win here. This is big. Toronto is such a tough competition. They're playing so well. They're kind of regressing to the mean right now, which is what you need. And it's really going to be a defining moment in this season, the way they play the next 4 series, because after that, the schedule gets a lot easier. But you're really seeing how the Blue Jays had to play an unbelievable brand of baseball over the last month and a half to be able to take this lead in this division. And if the Yankees are able to just stay pat and let the Blue Jays regress to what they really are, you have a legitimate chance of getting back in this division literally within a week. It can happen that quickly. I think football has kind of ruined our mindset where every game means so much and we take baseball to mean that much. The games aren't as important in baseball. So it's going to be really, really, you have to win this Rays series. You have to get the victory on Thursday. You cannot let the walk-off, you got to carry that momentum into the next day. You can't let the walk-off just dry out and not take that momentum over. It's an absolutely huge game for them. All these games are absolutely big the rest of the year. It's going to be a really fun stretch through August and September to see where this division winds up. But again, Ryan McMahon walk-off, unbelievable game. You get the balk to set it up late. Cody Bellinger had a really good game again. The triple from Cody Bellinger. Everything about this game was just emotional and aggravating. But they got the win. That's all that matters. Now go win the series. And again, the Tampa Bay Rays trade Zach Littell after the game, as soon as the game ends, to Cincinnati, who is buying and all in at this point. Tough game, interesting game. A lot of things happened, and a true microcosm of the Yankees season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, and hit the notification tab so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. That link is in our description. You'll get texts from us, and you can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. You know it's going to be a big deal tomorrow. We send out lineups during the season. There's roster moves, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's also a 14-day free trial. Coming up, the Yankees aren't selling, and they shouldn't be selling. We'll tell you why next. Time to fuel up and turn it up with the 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need a little bit of that extra boost and to stay sharp and energized. Golf is all about the good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing it down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. And guys, we have a new way for you to leave questions for Fan Mail Friday on YouTube. You can head over to our channel's main page, click on the posts tab right there, and scroll down. When you see that that latest post right there, you can share your questions right there. It makes it so much easier for Stacey to produce the show. She does a great job of it already, but you need to make the questions convenient for her. Trust me, it makes it a lot easier. The deadline is this week at 5 p.m. like it is every week on Thursday. We'll answer those questions tomorrow on tomorrow's episode of Fan Mail Friday, where Stacey will be back off the IL. But I want to discuss this because there's a lot of stuff going on social media on the Yankees potentially being sellers. And it appears like a lot of the fan base wants the Yankees to be sellers going forward. I'll say this to you before I give you my opinion on it. They're not going to sell. And the closest you'll ever see them to selling is that 2016 season where, again, they got better after that season. This Yankee team has Aaron Judge on a massive contract, Garrett Cole on a massive contract, Max Fried on a massive contract, Carlos Rodon on a massive contract. Do I need to keep going? They brought up Jason Dominguez. Anthony Volpe is young. Austin Wells is young. Jazz Chisholm is coming into an expiring contract next season. They just traded for Ryan McMahon. This team's not selling. And this team shouldn't be selling. You have a high payroll, a $300 million plus payroll. The schedule gets easier after the Houston Astros series at home in a week and a half. This is not a team that should be selling. Once you get into the postseason, which the Yankees fully should, you know anything can happen. Name the team in baseball right now that has more talent on its roster than the Yankees. Straightforward, more talent. There's one team in all of baseball. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, if you guys have noticed around baseball, are playing an awful brand of baseball really over the last 2 months. They're going through a swoon of their own. It hasn't been quite as bad as the Yankees, but they're still going through a swoon. That's the only team that definitively has more talent than the New York Yankees this year. And that Yankee team, truth be told, we've discussed it a million times, could have, and in some people's opinion, should have won that World Series last year against that fully loaded Dodgers team. So take that into account too. This Yankee team is as talented as any team in baseball. I don't think they're exponentially more talented than the other teams, but they absolutely could win. They have an ace at the top of the rotation. They have a solidified, really good number 2 on most days of 1B. They have pitching. I don't know if they're going to acquire more pitching because that market seems really steep. We'll get into that in segment 3. But they've got the pieces. If Devin Williams doesn't work out, you don't trust him in September and October, you have a closer that brought you to the World Series last year in Luke Weaver. You have the power. You have the offense. Plus, Aaron Judge will get back into this lineup. This team is good enough, if they get in, to make a run. There's no one in the American League that should really scare you that much. Just like the Yankees also aren't this bad as they've played in the last month and a half, we know they're not as bad as they're playing. Saying something because they're playing really bad. But the Blue Jays also aren't as good as they've played in the last month and a half. We can admit that. And that's not an insult to the Blue Jays before the Toronto fan base comes at me and floods our comments with stuff. It's not an insult. The Blue Jays have had an unbelievable stretch in the last month and a half. Do we forget what they did in the first month? First month of the season, the Blue Jays couldn't hit. After the first month of the season, they were under 500. So These things take time. I get it. But this Blue Jays team is going to regress to the mean, and the Yankees team is going to improve to the mean of what these teams truly are. That's kind of the beauty of the baseball season, right? I mentioned this in segment 1, and I want to reiterate it. I think football being as popular as it is has kind of ruined our brains a little bit, where we all find every individual Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night baseball game in the middle of the season to be as important or as valuable as an NFL game. Simply not. Teams lose an NFL game, it's Armageddon. Season's over. It means so much in the standings. You lose a baseball game, it's not as much. You look at the division lead right now. The Yankees are one good week and one bad week from the Blue Jays away from getting back in this division race and tying this division. They're that close. After their victory, it's a 4-game lead. That's not unbearable. It's not impossible. It's very possible to get back in this division race. The Blue Jays, again, have already really started to regress to the mean as they lost 3 out of 4 to the Orioles at home, who were playing better, but still lost 3 out of 4 to the Orioles. They're going to play like their normal selves, and the Yankees should improve like the talent level should suggest. I do want to mention one comment that kind of bothered me so far. By the way, too, the Blue Jays haven't exactly added this deadline yet. And as we've seen, the prices out there are very expensive for pitching help. The Phillies give up 2 of their top 5 prospects, including Micah Bell, who's supposed to be an unbelievable starting pitcher. The Mets give up a ton for the relievers they got. The Mets quietly might have the best bullpen in baseball now, but we'll get to that soon, too. The pitching market is very expensive. So I don't know if the Yankees necessarily go out there and improve for sure, but the Blue Jays haven't improved either. They got one reliever from the Baltimore Orioles. That's it. Very doable for the Yankees. I don't like Cashman's comments. Apparently he made a comment to The Athletic on Wednesday, where he said the Yankees are planning on, quote, going to town this deadline. Doubt that. It's going to be hard. The Yankees don't like to pay a premium price for players, and it's going to be a premium price for anybody. Again, we've seen it with the market out there, especially with pitchers. I don't know how active they'll be on Thursday. The deadline's at 6 p.m., which, by the way, is an hour before the MLB trade deadline, an hour after the MLB trade deadline. I don't know how much the Yankees are going to be involved in the pitching market with how expensive it's shown to be. Again, the Phillies had to give up Mike Abel, who is one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball. It's a very, very tough market out there, and I don't know if the Yankees are going to be playing in those waters, to be honest with you. Regardless of all that, though, you're not selling with the team that has Giancarlo, Stanton, and Aaron Judge in the middle of their primes. It would be, I know that all Yankee fans out there, and you've got a point, think that it's malfeasance what Brian Cashman's done, what Aaron Boone's done, what Hal Steinbrenner's done. Bottom line, they have a $300 million payroll. You can't possibly slash this payroll. And you have a generational talent like Aaron Judge in the middle of his prime. You don't sell in situations like that. It's not possible. So the amount of improbable teams, too, let me mention this on the way out. The amount of improbable teams that have won a World Series in the last 2 decades that just got in and made a run. That 2019 Nationals team, was that a World Series team? Be honest with yourselves. The year before, 2018, 100%. That Red Sox team was unbelievable. That Nationals team, yeah, there was talent there. Rendon was playing awesome. Strasburg was really pitching well. Team was really good. Soto was there too. But was that the most stacked roster you've ever seen? Was that the best baseball team you've ever seen? No. They had to bring Strasburg late in those games out of the bullpen, if you remember. That team found a way to make a run and win a World Series. This Yankee team certainly has talent on it and certainly could do that. If you've got a chance, you don't sell players at the deadline in the middle of a generational player's prime. You don't send Anthony Volpe down. You figure things out. You don't give up on seasons. You don't. When your team has a chance, you don't do that. Tampa Bay has decided they don't have a chance. And I think we can all agree to that. The Yankees are not that. They're not that bad. They have the talent. It's about getting in, and they should be buyers. They are buyers. I think they made enough moves to prove that. I just don't think they're going to play in the waters that the pitching market has become. It's become so bleak that teams are willing to pay a premium price for anything. If you're the Yankees, I don't know if you do that. Coming up, we're going to preview the finale of this series when the Yankees play the Rays. Plus, we'll tell you about some news from around the league as it just keeps going and going. Guys, not only do we cover your team every day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. You can check out the Locked On Yankees postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. It's also streaming on our YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So it's set a 1:05 start on Thursday. Will be the Yankees game 4. And we said it earlier in the show, and we're going to hold to it. This is a must-win game. You have to win this series against Tampa Bay. You're better than them. They're selling. They told you that with the Littell trade after the game. The starting pitcher has a great game, and they immediately trade him afterwards to a buying Reds team. This team has given up on their season. They have waved the white flag. You need to win, and it's a huge start for Marcus Stroman, who is now 2-2 on the season. He has a high ERA in the 6s. Didn't have a great start last time, but before that had a really good start for the Yankees. This is the biggest start of his year. By far, they need to get a victory here. He'll go up against Ryan Pepio, who's 6-8 with a 3.42 ERA. It's a good ERA, not a good record, which you know doesn't matter as much. The odds in this game are now even. They are both -110. It opened at the Rays as a -150 favorite, so you can see how the line has moved. People think the Yankees are going to really be players in this game. They got to win this game. Going into the next series against Miami, you get a 7-10 start. All hands on deck have to be in the bullpen. You save the bullpen arms earlier in the year for games like this, so they're available. Have to use Williams, have to use Weaver, have to use Hill. It has to be all hands on deck. You kind of get a quasi-off day afterwards because, again, it's a 1:05 start against Tampa, and then you get a 7-10 start the next night against Miami. So you kind of get that off day built in. You need to use all hands on deck. This is a must-win game. You can't allow the Blue Jays to gain more games on you. It's a gettable division. It is. The Blue Jays are going to regress to the mean. The Yankees are better than how they've played this year. It's in front of them, legitimately, as much as that's said with this franchise. You have to go and win games like this, though, against the seller like the Rays. Let's get to what's on in the rest of the league because it's absolutely insane. So the Cincinnati Reds, they have finalized the trade for Zach Littell. He started it for the Rays on Wednesday against the Yankees, dominated them. The deal's agreed to. It's pending a medical, which is going to get approved because he was healthy enough to pitch earlier. That earlier in the day, they acquire Ke'Bryan Hayes, which is an unbelievable trade. Him and Ellie De La Cruz are now in the same infield, which is absolutely unbelievable. The Reds have gone all in, and I love that. They're just out of a wild card spot, I believe. They might be in one now. They're playing really good baseball. They see themselves as able to get into the postseason, and they're looking at it as anything can happen. Why shouldn't the Yankees, from the point that I've made? They're right there, the Cincinnati Reds. They're the 4th wild card spot, but they're only 3 games behind the Padres. It's right there for them, and I love them going forward. It really is great. Now, let's look at what the Mets did because they had an unbelievable day. They trade for Tyler Rogers earlier in the day. They give up a lot for him, but it may signal, as I was saying earlier, I actually wrote this in the rundown, and it kind of wound up being true, so props to myself, not a big deal at all. The Mets trade for Tyler Rogers, and I wrote in the rundown, this may signal the reliever market's going to be very steep, and it wound up being that way because a few hours after the Mets trade for Rogers, the Phillies get John Duran, and that becomes a big deal because he's one of the top relievers in all of baseball this year. They trade him from the Twins for Eduardo Tate and Mike Abel. Now, Mike Abel is one of the top pitchers in all of baseball. He's killing it in AAA. He's a really, really solid starting pitcher. They have really high hopes for him, and they trade him away to get a top-notch reliever. And the Phillies bullpen has really struggled this year. They're obviously going for it, so that is a major trade for the Phillies. A few hours after that happens, the New York Mets decide to respond to that. You can see how wanky and wild this is going on because it's going back and forth between these teams. The Mets give up a massive package to then go acquire. I'm sorry, why is my mind completely blanking right here for Mets fans? They go get Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. Sorry, that was crazy. I don't know why my mind blanked there. They get Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals, who's been one of the best closers in baseball for the last 2 or 3 years. Mets give up a big package. Obviously, they give up Baez, one of their top prospects. But now you would add Rogers and Helsley. This Met bullpen right now is absolutely unbelievable. It's probably the best bullpen in all of baseball. Listen to this from closer down, what the Mets are sending out there every day. Edwin Diaz, Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, Reed Garrett, Brooks Raley, Gregory Soto, Ryan Stanek. That's an unbelievable bullpen going forward. And I think this is how the Mets evaluated this deadline, because it was out there and reported that the Mets were going to, at all costs, make sure they go out there and require an ace-level starting pitcher. It's no secret they need starting pitching, and everyone thought they were going to do that. As the market developed a little more, the Mets realized that starting pitcher is not available for the price we want to pay. There really aren't starters available to begin with, so that makes the prices for guys that we don't consider aces really astronomically ace-type prices. You're not paying that. You see teams involved in Alcantara, and you know that deal is going to be higher for the Mets because it's in division. So, again, the Mets kind of told everyone they're not involved in the starting pitching market. They're not giving up top-tier price for starting pitching. So they're going to stack their bullpen, and if games have to be short in the postseason, they have to be short. They're going to go forward with what they have. And that move, going back and forth to the Phillies midday and getting two of the top relievers available on the market, absolutely unbelievable for the Mets right there. It had to be done. The Mariners traded for reliever Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates. They've kind of emptied things off by trading Hayes and Ferguson. Ramon Urias is traded from the Orioles to the Astros. They needed an infielder. What's crazy about that move is, if you saw earlier in the day, a rumor came out that the Astros were heavily looking into Carlos Correa, and he was willing to waive his no trade clause to go back to the Houston Astros. Obviously, that price went up, becoming a little too high. It didn't work out. They get Urias from the Orioles, so that could be a decent fit there too. Again, Phillies gave up a ton to get John Duran, but again, kind of need to happen. What an unbelievable trade deadline, and I think it's going to get crazier as we get into Thursday. Again, 6 p.m. is the deadline. It's going to get wilder and wilder. I personally don't expect the Yankees to go heavy after a pitcher. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that player is out there. Maybe if they get the deal they want, they go after Alcantara. I do have faith that Matt Blake can fix him, because the weird thing about Alcantara is his stuff is there, his velocity is there, his spin rate is there. He's just pitching to a bad ERA this year. That can be fixed. It's not showing that he's a bad pitcher or he's possibly injured. It's just showing that he's not pitching well with confidence. So I do have faith in Alcantara, and I do have faith that Matt Blake can fit him. It depends at the cost, though, because there are reports out there that the Marlins are asking for Spencer Jones, and I don't know if I'd do that. I don't. At this rate, with how Alcantara has been, Yankees need a starter for sure, but it's going to be a really interesting market. Clearly, the prices are very expensive, and I don't know if they're going to be on a bullpen arm either, because it's just getting too pricey out there. Also, to the Shohei Ohtani left the game in the fourth inning earlier against the Reds with cramping. It wasn't more serious than it seems to be. So that is that right there too. A really crazy day. Hang in till 6 p.m. tomorrow to see what the Yankees wind up doing. It's going to be a crazy trade deadline, and there's going to be some expensive prices that are paid out there. Also, the last fun fact before I end the show, via James Smythe of Yes, the Yankees are the only Major League Baseball team in the modern era to erase a deficit in the 8th inning, erase a deficit in the 9th inning, erase a deficit in the 10th inning, and then win it in the 11th inning. Boy, that is not in modern-day Yankee fashion this season. As I said, this game was a microcosm of the entire Yankee season. The error by Volpe, the late heroics. The only thing that they did in this game that they don't do all year is come back and win games in extra innings, because they don't do that at all. Crazy game. Also, in Volpe's last 11 games, just to close this out, 6 home runs, 5 errors. Unbelievable. Unbelievable and weird. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You can catch me on Sunday nights on Locked On MLB Game Night. Get local analysis on a national scale from MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. For Stacey Gotsulias, who's on the IL, and will be back tomorrow, I'm Brian McMahon. We'll see you guys tomorrow.